Greetings. I came across information that, to put it mildly, extremely puzzled me. And the fact that it is posted on Wikipedia does not diminish its dubiousness at all, since this resource is almost the only and non-alternative source of information for many. In the section devoted to the SS troops, where the information is generally quite accurate and does not contain obvious gross errors, I found the following very controversial statement. During the capture of Budapest, 3 SS divisions, 8th, 22nd, and 33rd, were destroyed. Some divisions, such as the 1st SS Panzer Division Leibstandard SS Adolf Hitler, the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich, the 3rd SS Panzer Division Totenkopf, and the 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend, were destroyed repeatedly and then rebuilt again. Although a source reference is missing, it is not difficult to guess where this discovery comes from. In Soviet literature, it was common to record German divisions by the dozens as defeated and completely destroyed. This was especially true for SS divisions, while the author's fantasy often went too far, reporting the defeat in distant 1942 of the SS Brandenburg Division or the SS Green Rose Division. At the same time, the authors were not at all embarrassed by the fact that these very divisions, defeated by them, continued to actively participate in the fighting on the front. It is surprising that in the above quote from Wikipedia, the Viking Division is not mentioned for some reason, which in Soviet sources was a real record holder in terms of the number of reports about its alleged defeat. And as for the other listed divisions, it is even difficult to imagine when they could have been destroyed at all, let alone repeatedly. This intrigued me so much that I decided to look into the history of these units to find out when exactly they could have been so recklessly defeated or destroyed. First of all, let's clearly define the terminology. To destroy a division means that it ceases to exist in the list of military formations. Its banner, if it, of course, has survived, is sent to a museum or archive, and the surviving personnel are transferred to other units. Later, theoretically, a new division with the same number can be formed, but it will have nothing to do with the previous one. In the Red Army, this was quite a common phenomenon. There were divisions of the 2nd and 3rd formations. Moreover, the reason for this was not always destruction. Sometimes it was the assignment of the guard's title, when the division was given a guard's number, and the old one, respectively, was freed up. In the Wehrmacht, something similar also happened, although extremely rarely. For example, Hitler at one time ordered the restoration of all divisions that were destroyed in the Stalingrad Cauldron. There were also such examples among the SS troops. As for the defeated divisions, the definition here is a little more complicated. When they say that a division is defeated, it means that it has suffered serious losses, lost its combat effectiveness, and needs restoration. It is withdrawn from the front line, or, as often happened in the Wehrmacht in 1943-44, a so-called divisional group was formed from the remnants of the division and parts of neighboring formations, which in its size approximately corresponded to an ordinary regiment. Now let's take a detailed look at the mentioned divisions. I ask you to subscribe to our channel and give a like so that you can learn many more interesting facts about the events of World War II in the future and hear the opinions of all its participants about those or other events. Let's start with the units that directly participated in the battles for Budapest. The 8th SS Cavalry Division Florian Geyer and the 22nd SS Cavalry Division Maria Theresa were indeed defeated in the battles for Budapest, and their remnants were later used in the formation of the 37th SS Cavalry Division Lutzow. The 33rd SS Cavalry Division shared a similar fate with the previous ones, with the only clarification that it was renamed from the remnants of the 1st Hussar Division of the Hungarian Army. It is noteworthy that the cavalrymen even wore Hungarian military uniforms. After the defeat of the division, its number was transferred to the French SS Division Charlemagne, which did not manage to fully form. Its total number barely reached the level of a brigade. So in this particular case, Wikipedia gives us truthful information. But as for the rest of the mentioned formations, let's try to figure out where they could have been so recklessly destroyed. The Leibstandard SS Adolf Hitler took part in the battles on the Eastern Front almost from the very beginning of the war, mainly in the territory of Ukraine. At that time, it was rather a reinforced unit of the brigade type and not a full-fledged division. At the end of August 1941, the Leibstandard was withdrawn for rest and replenishment, but of course there was no question of any defeat. Then it took part in the battles at Perekop, after which it took Taganrog and Rostov-on-Don for some reason. The latter fact was not liked to be remembered, and even more so to delve into details, but the claim that during the Soviet counteroffensive near Rostov, the SS divisions Adolf Hitler and Viking were defeated was written by everyone who was not too lazy. Here, for example, is a quote from the Memoirs of Bagramian. Cherevchenko reported that the SS division Viking and the 16th Panzer Division can already be written off. And here's another quote. The German 14th and 16th Tank Divisions, the 60th Motorized Division, and the SS Viking Division met their death in the vast expanses of the Donetsk steppes and on the distant approaches to the mouth of the Don. In addition, a serious defeat was inflicted on the 13th Tank Division, the SS Adolf Hitler Division, as well as the 76th, 94th, and 97th Infantry Divisions. However, even Bagramian buried only Viking, while Leibstandard only suffered a defeat. Of course, the losses in the SS troops were significant by the standards of the German army, but we should certainly not talk about a 100% replacement of personnel. After the battles near Rostov, the Leibstandard is withdrawn from the front and begins to be deployed into a full-fledged division. In the summer of 1942, the forming division was transferred to France. It returns to the Eastern Front only in the spring of 1943 and immediately takes an active part in the battles near Kharkov. The results of those battles are well known, and there is simply no question of any defeat of the German troops. Next was the Battle of the Kursk Bulge, where the Leibstandard undoubtedly suffered significant losses, but there was, of course, no question of destruction. After the end of the Battle of Kursk, the division was sent to northern Italy, where it performed guard duties and engaged in the replenishment of personnel and equipment. All heavy weapons were left on the Eastern Front. In November 1944, the division was hastily transferred to the territory of Ukraine, where it played the role of a kind of fire brigade, operating in the most important sectors of the front. In particular, it participated in the breakthrough of the German troops surrounded in the Korsun-Shevchenko Cauldron. Then the division, together with other units of the 1st Panzer Army, itself found itself surrounded north of Kamenets-Podolsky. Soviet military historians recorded the entire 1st Panzer Army as destroyed as a result of those battles. Although the German troops escaped from the cauldron quite safely, the losses were, of course, significant. And apparently, this particular case was taken by the authors of the text in Wikipedia as destruction. The Leibstandard was sent to Belgium for rest and replenishment. Then followed the battles in France, where near Avranches the Leibstandard, together with the SS divisions Das Reich and Hitlerjugend, which are also of interest to us, got into another cauldron, but the German troops were again able to safely break out. After that, the division was restored for a long time. All combat units could hardly form a full-fledged battalion, and took part in the German offensive in the Ardennes. After the Ardennes, the SS divisions Leibstandard and Hitlerjugend were transferred to Hungary, where they took part in fierce battles at Lake Balaton. And then both of these divisions fought in the territory of Austria, where they surrendered to the Allied troops. Now let's talk about the SS Das Reich division. Throughout 1941, the division first actively advanced, and from December it retreated from Moscow all the way to Rzhev. In January 1942, it was withdrawn to the rear for rest and replenishment of personnel. It returned to the Eastern Front only in the spring of 1943, where it first took part in the battles near Kharkov, and then in the operation codenamed Citadel. By the end of 1943, the division was sent for rest and replenishment, although a combat group from its composition still continued to fight in the territory of Ukraine. The next time the Das Reich division went in a battle in France in 1944, where it suffered heavy losses, but not having fully recovered, it took part in the Ardennes Offensive. In January 1945, the division again found itself on the Eastern Front, fought in the territory of Hungary and Austria, after which it surrendered to the Allied troops. The SS Totenkopf Division operated as part of the Army Group North in 1941. At the very beginning of 1942, the division fell into the Damyansk Cauldron. In April-May, it played a key role in breaking through the Soviet encirclement. The losses were very large, and the division was sent to the rear for rest and replenishment. It returned to the Eastern Front in the spring of 1943, and then everything was approximately the same as with the two previous divisions. Battles near Kharkov and participation in the Battle of Kursk. Then the division conducted combat operations in the territory of Ukraine, and in 1944 in Moldova. After that, it was transferred to Belarus, where it participated in the battles of the final part of the Bagration operation. Then this division fought in the territory of Hungary and Austria, where it surrendered to the American troops. And finally, let's talk about the least known of the divisions under consideration, the 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend. The formation of this division began in 1943 from volunteers aged 17 years. The division first participated in combat operations in the summer of 1944 in the territory of France. In these battles, the division suffered very heavy losses and was withdrawn to the rear for restoration in October, after which, fully restored, it took part in the Ardennes Offensive. Then, together with the Leibstandard, it fought in Hungary and Austria, where it surrendered to the American troops. So, what do we see as a result? We have, unfortunately, not found a single case of the complete destruction of the listed divisions, but there are more than enough examples of when divisions were very exhausted. Here it is necessary to understand the specifics of the SS divisions. They, in fact, played the role of a fire brigade. They were constantly transferred to the hottest and most responsible sectors of the front at the same time. Given their peculiar system of staffing, they were not replenished during combat operations, as was customary in the Wehrmacht formations, since ordinary March replenishment was usually not suitable for them, and consequently, losses steadily accumulated, and as a result, the SS divisions had to be withdrawn from the front for replenishment and restoration. Therefore, in some cases, and with some stretch, one can of course speak of the defeat of divisions, especially those that fell into an enemy cauldron. One can even say that the unknown authors of Wikipedia simply greatly exaggerated, and more likely simply did not understand very well the meaning of the terms they used. In any case, it was very useful to recall the history of some divisions of the Third Reich, which played a very significant role in the events of World War II. See you soon. We were very glad to see you on our channel. Do not forget to leave your comments, put likes, and subscribe to our channel.